We're not. You all have they capabilities, though.
Well, they cost money, you know, but let's say, so. Not overall, what is it?
Just a discussion on EMT.
I don't know, I think.
Good morning and welcome to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on June the 4th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Pastor Eddie Maynard from the Brooks Baptist Church will lead us in our invocation and our pledge.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning just grateful that you supply all our needs more than sufficiently. And Father, your word tells us that if we need wisdom, we can ask of God who gives all men liberally. And Father, we come before you acknowledging our total dependence upon you. Thank you for those who humbly serve, for we know the task before them is great. But we also know, God, that you supply again the need that is there. And I pray that you would help us to remember the greatest servant, that Jesus Christ humbled himself and became as a servant. And may we follow his example. And we ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Maynard. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Here.
Mr. Rahill is not present. Judge Summers?
Yes. Court's in session. Treasurer's report. Canan? Okay, thank you, Canan. Presentation and approval of all bills.
Form of motion.
Second.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Second District Magistrate Logston for the approval of all bills. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Approval of minutes for the January 21, 2020 meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes dated January 21st, 2020.
Second.
Got a motion by Second District Magistrate Logston, a second by Third District Magistrate Laswell to approve the minutes from January 21, 2020 as presented. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, at this time, I have a presentation on behalf of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court to honor the elected officials in the school board for Bullitt County. And January is their official month, but I felt it would be more appropriate to do this here in court instead of at the school board meeting last Monday. So at this time, if the school board members, I see Linda and who else is here? Anyone else from the school board? If you'd come up here, we'll present you with the proclamation. Come on, here. I'm up there, Linda. What the proclamation is to capture it quickly is to acknowledge what the school board does do. I mean, they have over $60 million year budget. They do the best they can with the resources that they have, but they also make sure that we have quality education for our youth here in this community. And I can read the proclamation in detail, but at this time, I would like for Linda to take it, frame it, and put it back for us. And we are pleased as a court to have other elected officials who are able to step up to the plate to make quality decisions for this community. And Linda, thank you all for all you do, and the rest of the board.
Thank you for serving as partners to the Board of Education. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Old business being none. New business, discussion to create an ordinance regulating permits for dumping 1 acre at a time. And we have brought this together as a court due to, we've had numerous instances with, what I'm gonna say, dumping in this community. And we're here to see what we can do to be able to, let's put it this way, not only regulate, but to make sure that our community doesn't become a dump grounds. Magistrates, Felicia, where's Larry at? Larry's still here? If y'all can come up, enter into this discussion as well.
Morning.
Currently, there's no permit that we issue if you are dumping spoils, which is your natural material of dirt, rock, concrete. There's no permits that the actual county you can apply for, and under our zoning regulations, it's an allowable use anywhere. That we cannot regulate it through our zoning ordinance, and I don't think it's talked about in Larry's ordinance as well.
No, it's not. If it's out of the floodplain, there's no permit required, and we've met with the state EPA and the Division of Water. And the problem we get into is, you know, the noise, where they're dumping. I have, when you get into some of these hollers, you know, you can dump a whole lot of material, and as long as it's legal, I have no control over it. Now, when it gets in the floodplain, then
They have to
yes,
receive
they
a
have to have a
permit and have to
permit.
sign off on the application.
Right.
The most complaints that we get in our office is the trucks coming in and out of the property at all hours of the day and night. That's the majority of the complaints that we have. And then, of course, you know, they want to know what's being dumped there, which we don't go, that's not under our code enforcement, that we don't go on site to see if they're actually dumping dirt and concrete.
I do, if I know that they're doing it, then, but now you get into the situation where on the hill, when they dump all that slurry, then it's gonna be dumped before anybody's gonna know it, and the damage is done. But now they do have to come in under Jim Bozeman's regulations and get a solicit discharge, or is it, what's that permit called?
EPSC?
Yeah, where we put up a silk fence to hold silt from going down into the creek, supposedly. Now that's gonna have to be monitored also closely to see that the animals don't tear it down, that weather doesn't tear it down, and when you get into this, so.
The problem with that is that Jim Bozeman issues EPSC permits when it's for construction. So if you're going to get someone dumping, they're not coming in the office for an EPSC permit. Only if they are building something new will that silk fence be up.
Well, how do you regulate this if in some of the spoils and everything how do we know would a bond be able to cover this if they dump something in there that was contaminated or whatever? If they come and get this permit, would they be required to put up some kind of bond to secure us and everything to make sure that if there is something done?
I think that's up to you all to decide that.
Because that could get very critical and everything, and that's happened over the years and everything. This contaminated material would come in, and we wouldn't know anything about it until it was too late. John maybe even say something in regards to that, and the R's and everything that they can, how we would deal with the R's and everything, because there's people that, the calls that I was receiving in the last several months and everything is people would coming in at all hours of the night and everything. And that was a major problem for people that work,
Dump trucks are
trying to get
tearing
sleep.
up the road.
So how do we deal with that? And maybe John can elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, the first thing you're gonna have to decide is, what are we going to do? Is this an ordinance for the placement of fill for construction? Is this an ordinance for dumping of materials where there's no construction envisioned? State already regulates anything that you dump that will go into a landfill. So the only thing that the county would normally regulate would be things that are legal that you do not need to have a state permit upon or obtain. If we're trying to make sure that people, when they're filling a site, if that's what we're really wanting to do, we can draft an ordinance that would define when it can be filled during the hours. Like I said, you're not going to be running it around the clock. We can define as to how much fill you can place at a particular time and during a duration. But we have to look at what you're going to call a fill and a dump. Because if you require it for any type of fill, then every time somebody builds a house and they need to have soil placed on their lateral fill, they may be bringing 20, 30 truckloads. So I don't think it's the intention of the court to add another permit to somebody who's just putting soil that's enabling them to build a home. I think what you probably want to do in order to make this thing workable for Larry and Felicia would limit it to how much of an area that you can use at any particular time. Now, this says 1 acre. Okay, 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. But how much fill we're going to let them put on that 1 acre? I mean, I think what you need to do is start looking at how many cubic yards you're going to put into a particular site. Because if a triaxle dump truck brings in 12 to 15 cubic yards, and you're going to say, well, we don't need a permit until you're going to get into 500 or 600 or 700 cubic yards. If that's what you're doing, fine. You really are going to need to strictly define this so that they'll have the ability to enforce it. And again, I think you can do it with the size of the site, the purpose of the site, and the use after the site is filled. We've got one case in planning and zoning in particular. I think that's sort of the issue right now, where somebody wants to fill in 35 acres supposedly to build a house, which is totally unreasonable. You don't fill 35 acres. And the problem with it, when you start dumping over a hillside, Larry and the court and everybody in the audience knows, everything runs downhill. And anything that's going downhill, normally at some point, it's going to end up in a stream. It may not be a week from then, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, it may be in somebody's stream. So we need to regulate that if you're going to put any type of fill on any type of site, that you have to have the appropriate silk fence. It has to have a fee connected to it, because somebody's going to have to go out and inspect it. That's going to take time and manpower. And we're going to have to consider what's going to be the penalty when somebody does it without obtaining a permit or does something inappropriate.
Okay. Does that help you, Dennis?
Yeah, it does and everything, but I just wanted them to elaborate on that, because
Right.
I've got a tremendous amount of calls in the Brooks area. And that's where it was at, that I was having so much problem. But not only that, but it was the safety of the roads and everything too. With these roads are not very wide, and it's not our fault, because some of these roads are state roads, which we don't have any control over. And my biggest fear and everything was that one of these big truck pass, or one of these school buses or something like that, cause problems and everything. Somebody have an accident. But then I'm concerned about the field, just like John was saying there and everything. This stuff could end up, if it's not done right, end up in one of these blue line streams, and we got major problems. And it does need to be addressed, and I don't have a problem with court and everything trying to address this. And maybe we need to get together and figure out just exactly what we need to do in this, if we're going to draft an ordinance and everything.
Right, and if I may, Magistrate Mitchell, what we will do, we will work with all three of the code enforcements to craft something with the county attorney and to have it by the very first meeting in March, to have something that we can, for the court to review and to be able to decide on. Is that fair enough, John?
That's fair.
Okay. Larry, Felicia?
Sounds good to me.
Magistrate Mitchell?
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
all right.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you all. Okay, Larry, actions requested on your obsolete computer and also with your litter abatement grant funding.
Yeah, I just need a motion to surplus my old computer first.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Second District Magistrate Logsdon to surplus the computer in the solid waste. Sam, call roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And then also on the litter abatement.
Litter abatement, I don't need a motion, I'm just going to tell you, 2019, we received 72,163.11. So 2020, and I've been in touch with the jailer, we received 68,465.77. A little bit less, and that's based on road miles, so some counties, I guess, added some roads and the money they spread out. Sometimes you get a little more, sometimes you don't. I will have I'm doing my annual report now, I have all my numbers in. They gotta be to state by March 1st. I've done a quick scenario of last year's litter abatement, and we're gonna be fine. We're not gonna be sending any money back. I don't believe, I'm 99.9% sure. And I also checked yesterday before this meeting, and this is gonna be Bullitt County's year for the waste tire event. Now, what that means is, I've got to try to find an area that I can get tractor trailers in and out. Last year, or 2 years ago, we received 35,000 tires. So it's a 3-day event. We'll put it in the paper and you can bring the tires, drop them off free. The only problem is I've got right now is trying to find a place. I'm gonna maybe talk to the school board about the old Shepherdsville High School, when we have our meeting in Frankfurt, if the equipment loading the tires doesn't tear the asphalt up. I don't like I've never done it on just plain ground, because they did it 1 year before I was here at the Bullitt County Fairground, and they tore the property all to pieces. So they spent another week hauling in dirt and finished grading that, so I don't want to do that. So when you're all out riding around, keep me in mind, I need probably 2 or 3, 4 acres to do it safe, where I can get them in, get them out.
About what time of year, Larry?
We'll probably be doing it somewhere between September and December,
Well,
probably in October.
the earlier the better, because of the weather
Yeah,
causing more issues.
but they'll give me a window of about 30 days because of the recyclers, because they'll take them to wherever they're gonna take them. So, is there any questions?
I do have one, Larry. In following up with you on the programs that you did in the past, it was really enlightening to know that when you did the hazardous waste, that the folks had to be from Bullitt County checking in the IDs. Do you do something similar for this, or is this just wide open for everybody?
No.
I'm just procedurally, that's all I'm asking.
My first event, me and the state had a little run-in, because we furnish people, we generally get the inmates out to help the elderly unload. Well, I had 2, 3, 4 tractor trailer trucks from Bardstown come in. So I got on the phone and called them. I said, do I have to take these? And they said, yeah, you've got to take them. I said, well, that's fine, but they're gonna unload them. So I do have to take them,
Right.
but.
No, and that's cool for
Yeah,
clarification, because
yeah.
I know when you announce this, we get quite the amount of calls
Yeah.
on anything to do with any type of waste that can normally not be put in your everyday trash can.
Exactly.
Is that a state thing that suggests that you have to take them, Larry? Is that a state thing?
Yeah, because they're
of the
paying
funding?
for it.
Because they're paying for it, but they allow that to be opened up to anybody with no cap?
Yeah, and we could take ours to Louisville.
Okay.
You know, if we had an abundance of them, or I could take them to Meade County, or if the state pays for it 100%, all we have to pay for is the ad in the paper, and then my steak dinner, it's it.
Okay,
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
My first time that I did it was over by the jail. I did 90,000 tires.
Oh, wow.
First bill. Thank you all.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, number 4, action is requested on resolution 20-02, adopting and approving the execution of county road aid cooperative program contract. I'll make the motion as presented. I don't hear the county attorney have any objections to it.
We looked at it, it's all in order.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Got a second by First District Magistrate Mitchell. Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And for the second part of the execution of the contract is, we have to have an action requested and signed on the county road agreement, cooperative program agreement, which is signatures by all the magistrates as well.
I'll make a motion that we execute and sign the county road aid cooperative program agreement.
I'll second that motion. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And we're going to bounce up to number 9 because it's along the same, it's along the same context. It was an amendment to the original agenda, but it's also to approve the Bullitt County resurfacing various county roads with our flex funds as well.
I'll put that in the form of motion that we approve Bullitt County resurfacing various county roads flex funds.
Second.
Got a motion by Second District Magistrate Logston, a second by Third District Magistrate Laswell to approve the flex fund contract with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And back on track for the agenda, item number 6, discussion and adoption of Bullitt County Bourbon Trail Study. Felicia?
Good morning again.
Good morning, Felicia.
So I'm asking for the adoption of the Bullitt County Bourbon Trail. You all were sent a link to this wonderful document that I'm very excited about. The plan has been out for public comment for the last about 2 weeks. It went out to all the stakeholders as well as up on our website for public comments. We've only had a few comments and they were all in favor of this wonderful plan. So the plan provides recommendations for the Kentucky 245 corridor. It goes into land use and development, transportation, and branding and identity. I'm just going to go over some of the recommendations that they called out in this plan. So for the land use, the study recommends future land uses that are oriented towards hospitality, tourism, and outdoor recreation along the Kentucky 245 corridor. An overlay district should be created along the 245 corridor to establish a distinct character that promotes tourism and reinforces the natural and scenic quality of the corridor. And they found a need for an additional zoning district in our zoning regulations, and that would be for ag tourism. So that would be for our bourbon distilleries or any type of distilleries that want to locate in Bourbon County, where we still have the agricultural zoning and not the industrial that is what we need now. For the transportation, one of the things that they called out was consider access management and new signalized intersections. So if any development goes along 245, we want to bring all those people that are visiting sites to one actual access point, so you don't have people crossing over 245, going right, going left, of course causing more traffic and traffic concerns of safety. Extend the sidewalk and trails along Kentucky 245. It was stated in here that any new development along 245 would be required to install sidewalks or multi-use trail. Add a left turn lane at Lotus Road, and then upgrade the I-65 interchange and require transportation studies for new development. That's something that Bullitt County does not do. We're not talking about our small little stores or anything that goes there, but if you're gonna get a hotel or a restaurant, that an actual transportation study is done so we know what kind of traffic that new development's going to create. And one of the, I think, important things that's gonna get this kind of started is the branding. So we need to create a distinctive design feature when you get off that 245 corridor that shows, hey, this is someplace that you all want to be, this is someplace that you all want to stay. So we're going to have some type of sign feature at that intersection and actually go all the way down 245. So with the adoption of the plan by fiscal court, once it's adopted, then I'll be working with the planning commission to actually do some of these recommendations. We'll update the comprehensive plan as well as create the new overlay district. In that overlay district, right now on the study area is kind of just, 500 feet from the center line of the road out. So once we get into the actual overlay district, we will be calling out parcels of land that will be included in that overlay district, so we have no confusion on what's doing. One of the things with the overlay district is we know there's a lot of industrial zoning there right now. We don't want to make it a hardship on the property owner. We're gonna actually allow them to have more uses in that industrial zoning, so they won't actually have to come in and rezone their property if they want a hotel there. So we're gonna allow a hotel and boutique, hotels and little restaurants, no fast food. It's gonna be more of your sit-down restaurant. So we're actually keeping the zoning as is. There will be no rezoning, but we're adding more uses to that actual piece of land, so your property value will increase. And the transportation projects that are listed in here, we have been working with KIPTA. We will get those into the transportation plan, so when funding does become available, they are already in the works of becoming a project. So I asked for the adoption of the Bullitt County Bourbon Trail study, and the draft is dated January 29th, 2020.
Any questions for Felicia?
No, but thanks so much for the work. I know the court voted on, approving this study in response to a lot of the, people that lived in the area and the businesses. And I had an opportunity to sit in and look at the presentation, and it was very, very thorough. I was very pleased with the money that was invested to see what could be done with that area. I'm not originally from Bullitt County, but I've always said when you come up 65, that is kind of the first stop there, so to speak, coming north, and it's just kind of it just not really appealing right now. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to increase that area and even make some major improvements in the future to the fairgrounds. So I think that's a huge area right there that there's a lot of opportunity with in a positive way. And I think the study really shows a lot of that and some of the opportunities that may and might exist.
But I just kind of want to echo that because they put a lot of work into it and everything, and it'd be very beneficial to the county. And I'll be glad to put it in form of a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion by First District Magistrate Mitchell, a second by Third District Magistrate Laswell for the adoption of the let me make sure I get this right, the Bullitt County Bourbon Trail Study. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And Felicia, thank you so much for your hard work. And also all those who attended those stakeholder meetings as well. There were quite a few of them. At this time, Director Harden, EMT and EMT surplus equipment, will cover them both at the same time for the discussion points.
Yes, good morning. We had an employee, Courtney Pauley, had finished her EMT advanced. She's now certified. She's on the road doing advanced EMT work for Bullitt County. My request is that we retroactively take her back to when she graduated, which is January the 22nd.
Mhm.
Bring her pay up. She was making $17.50, and fiscal court approved some months back a $2 increase for advanced. So my request is to just move her from $17.50 to $19.50, effective the 22nd of January, and she's a solid employee. It's providing extra level of care for the citizens of the county.
I'll put that in form of a motion to retroactively pay the new EMT advanced back to January, what was the date again, Kenny?
22nd.
22nd.
I'll second that.
Got a second by Second District Magistrate Logston. Any further discussion? Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yes, sir. If I could take just a minute.
Sure.
We had come in front of fiscal court a couple of sessions ago and asked for some surplus equipments, and we had 4 ambulances we wanted to get rid of, some old floor joists and some insulation we found down there. We got it all sold, and amazingly, it brought $27,411. So I got to looking at where this stuff was going to. The big box diesel thing had been down there forever, went to West Virginia. The other 3 ambulances, all of them are gonna go to Puerto Rico. We're gonna get them to Miami, put them on in big Connex things, and ship them to Puerto Rico to upgrade their fleet, what was left of it after the hurricanes and tornadoes and all this other stuff that's happened to them. So we're able to, in our small way, to help people in Puerto Rico with our surplus stuff. Just to keep y'all in the loop on that thing, I thought it was, pretty interesting that they come from Puerto Rico to Shepherdsville to pick up 3 ambulances, but we are.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Director Harden. Okay, at this time, there's no sign-in speakers today. Magistrate Mitchell,
Yes, sir.
any comments?
No, I'm in pretty good shape and everything. I probably didn't talk too much today anyway, so anyway, I'll take a motion that we go ahead and adjourn.
Well, wait a minute, before we do that, Sean, Magistrate?
No, I don't have anything. Thanks, everybody, for coming out today to the meeting.
Okay. Joe?
Yes, I've got something. I'd like to recognize Mr. Lay. Do you have anything you'd like to bring up this morning?
Well, I was wondering where that request I made last April stands on trying to buy that lot next to my house. It's been nearly a year now, and I just like to keep up with what's going on with it.
Yes, we surplus that, but the county attorney is in the process of getting someone to do an appraisal on it, John.
Right. We'll have an appraiser appraise it, and then once it's appraised, we will then be able to negotiate a sale with you, providing you're agreeable with the price as set by the appraiser.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
appreciate it.
it should be by the 1st of March. We're sorry for the delay, but we're new to this. I'm new to it, some of these other folks aren't, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
What's his name, Jerry?
Yes, ma'am, Linda?
I just wanted to announce we are having a Kids Fest this year. Hope to see some of you there, and it's gonna be June the 27th.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, anything else, Magistrate Laswell?
That's it.
And
Real quick, sir, what was your name again, so she could write that down?
Tom,
She's got it.
L.A., M-I-L-L-A-Y.
Thank you.
You get it? And Angie, I missed Angie on an addendum. She's had an employee retire, and she's wanting permission to rehire. And it's also, I'm not speaking for you, Angie, but the gist of it is it's to replace a retired, it's an employee that's retired, and permission for her to move forward to do interviews and all that.
You to put in a motion?
I don't think so, but just want to make sure the court approves that we can replace the existing employee.
We need to ask for permission to advertise.
And advertise it too, right, there you go, thank you. I'll put that in form of motion for Angie to advertise for a replacement of the existing, to replace Jeannie at the animal shelter.
I'll second it.
That's second by Magistrate Logston. Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and in conclusion, I want to thank again Felicia for the hard work on the study, And all those who participated in it, there was, the response literally was overwhelming. And also on February the 22nd at 2 p.m., we will do a State of Bullitt County again. Firmly believe that all 8 of your elected leaders from the cities will be here, the fire chiefs. We've reached out to the city councils, and the court will be there as well. I think you'll find it enlightening where we've been and where we need to go as a community. So again, it's February 22nd, Bullitt Central Auditorium. It'll start at 2, and we will absolutely be up front where we're at with it as Bullitt County and the surrounding 8 cities that's in this community.
What was the time on that?
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Starts at 2, Dennis, and we'll go till 3 or 3:30.
Let me say one thing before we adjourn. I see Robert back there. I have got 3 emails in my area of people saying positive things about the road department, and I just wanted to commend you. Sometimes people only say something when they're complaining, but I've actually pulled up one of the emails. One of the most recent ones was from Dale Salmon, but I just want to say thanks for what you're doing, and I know that if something's not being done in my district, it's because somebody hasn't told me about it, but every time that I've had an issue, I pass it on to the road department, and they've seemed to respond, relatively quickly, so thank you for what you're doing, but I have received 3 emails in the last couple of weeks about thanking our road department for some things that's been done in my area, so I appreciate what you're doing.
Good deal. Well, I have a motion on the floor by Magistrate Mitchell to adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
And a second by 3rd District Magistrate Laswell. Sam, call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Logston?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Court's over.
Let's see. John, I'll talk. All you need me to do is unplug you, don't you?
Sure. Like to?